Welcome everyone, I'm Brad Scheller, and in this video I'm going to cover whether or not a minimum viable product, an MVP, is still a good idea or isn't it. Now, for the longest time, the rule book for startups was super simple. You build a minimum viable product, launch it fast, and learn from your users openly. Well, AI has completely shattered this rule. So if you're wondering which way I'm going to lean on in terms of the current usage and couldn't figure it out from the title, well, that's your first hint. Now, today, I'm going to walk through the new playbook for building things, where being sneaky is better than being fast, and where survival literally depends on building something that AI can't just copy and paste. So let's get into it. I want to start with this picture because I think it's really provocative. The idea that runs counter to everything we've been taught, that quick and dirty product you launch just to see if people want it. Yeah, in today's world, that's not a head start. It's a blueprint. You're basically gift wrapping your entire business plan and handling it directly to your competitors. Might as well post your code and all your files on GitHub and Reddit. By the way, that's an inside joke for developers. Trust me, they're laughing their butts off right now. We're easy to please. So let's really get into this. How did this once essential tool for innovators become such a dangerous trap? The very thing that was designed to help you de-risk your idea can now be the exact reason you fail. And it's all because it creates an opening for a fast follower you never see coming. Now, let's be fair. The original idea of an MVP was brilliant. It was always about one thing, learning. The goal was to build the smallest possible thing to see if you were even on the right track. But somewhere along the way, we all started to misinterpret that as launching a clunky, incomplete product. And that's just a little misunderstanding is how AI can exploit what you're trying to do. So in the old days, notice the white hair, being the first mover meant you had to pay for the education costs and convince the world your idea was needed. But you got a head start. Now your competitors just watch your public MVP and learn everything you did for free. While your next iteration is used to slowly patch up your version 1 based on feedback, the fast follower can feed all that public information and feedback into an AI and build a better version right out of the gate. And here's the kicker, the risk. It used to be all on you to find the product market fit. Now you do all that expensive and time-consuming work for them. Your risk is sky high. Theirs is practically zero. So how does this really work? This isn't just theory. It's a real technological shift. You have to imagine that your competitor now has an AI co-pilot, and its one job is to read your launch like it's a set of instructions. And this gets to the absolute core of the problem. The code itself is no longer a real advantage. With the newest AI tools, code has become a commodity. Generative AI can write decent code so fast that being the first to build a set of features means next to nothing. That protective wall that used to give innovators time to build and grow, well, that's just gone. Okay, check out this workflow because it's systematic and it's scary. Step 1, you launch your MVP, you're excited, you got it in the world. Step 2, immediately a competitor's AI starts analyzing not just your product, but, and this is a killer move, it scrapes every single user review online. It's looking for every complaint, every bug report, gee, I wish I did this. Step 3, the AI bundles all of that up and identifies exactly where your product is weak and where are the competitive opportunities for it to beat you. Step 4, it uses those weaknesses as the launching point to generate better code for their version. Step 5, your competitor launches what is basically a product that's better because they had time to fix the best version while you're still fixing your iteration of your bugs. It's a devastatingly simple process. Now, this might seem theoretical. It's not. As an example, I always monitor Reddit, YouTube, and school communities, and often see people asking what do you think of this concept? So about a couple months ago, one poster proposed an idea on Reddit about an AI-powered avatar to serve as an interviewer for job seekers. Now, as validation of my opinion, I looked at that as an opportunity to prove my theory that it's no longer a valid approach. And what I did is I immediately looked at the reviews, feedback, and I thought of ways to significantly improve a product to crush his idea. A key model I often used in my management consulting days in the past was to not look myopically at a particular segment of a process, but to consider the end-to-end opportunity. So in this case, I expanded the market target to not just job seekers, but also students trying to get into college of their choice, or introverts who need practice talking to others, or want to ask somebody out on a date and practice how they're going to do that, or other processes which could benefit for interactive practice. Now, then I expanded the definition of the process to not just include the interview itself, but to start with the ideation of what they wanted through an interview, the creation of a rubric to review and grade their interviews, as well as any written material or communications, and a repository of analyses of personality types and how you have to train them through this entire process. The initial research to define alternative goals for schools or jobs, the contact and application communications, interview prep, reviews, feedback coaching, the whole ball of wax, figured it out. I then defined a panel of AI-powered persona to serve as a panel of judges, and I iterated the code through several rounds until I received a feedback of over 95%. Now, I've made it a point of pride to never steal an idea and stab someone in the back who's trying to get ahead. So I did not actually release the application and would never intend to do so. But that is an example of what other people who don't have that same philosophy would have no problem taking advantage of. So here's a dilemma. If you're a hopeful developer trying to figure out how to launch a product today, the advice is confusing. There are leading voices, and they actually seemingly disagree on what an MVP even is. So I picked three that I have respect for. On the left, you have Greg Eisenberg. He runs a very popular YouTube channel, and he's very smart and insightful, gives people advice, talks to other people about how they get success in product development, etc. His view is that you need to find your audience first. He believes building a product before you have a community waiting for it is suicide. You validate through conversation, not code. In the middle, you have the classic Y Combinator approach voiced by Michael Siebel. That view is that problem first. If you aren't embarrassed by your first version, you waited too long. You validate by seeing if users would tolerate a broken, ugly prototype just to solve a hair on fire type of problem. On the right side is an indie hacker. I believe his name is Pieter Levels. His view is ship first. He treats MVPs like a lottery ticket. You can't predict what will work, so you ship quantity and speed. You validate by asking for money immediately. Now, these are very different tactics, but if you look closely, they are all fighting the exact same issue. They share one common belief: anti-isolation. They all agree that spending months building in a vacuum based on your own assumptions is toxic. For that, I agree. Whether you break through your ideas in isolation through community chats like Eisenberg suggests, or watching users struggle with a prototype like the YC, or seeing if someone clicks buy, the goal is rapid feedback loops. But here's the catch. Even these modern experts are missing a massive opportunity in how we get that feedback. So we all agree that we need rapid feedback loops, but right now these loops are still constrained by human speed, and the current approach exposes your concept to rapid followers stealing the concept. Right now, the leading experts, these people I mentioned, are all embracing AI, but they almost exclusively are using it as a creation tool. They use AI to write code or generate marketing material, social media, content faster. They're using AI to build the thing quicker. But once it's built, they're still stuck waiting days or weeks for slow human feedback. They wait for replies on Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, etc. They wait for users to schedule Zoom calls, and they wait for traffic to hit the landing pages. They all missed a very important opportunity. The future isn't just using AI to build, it's using AI to validate. The new correct term that I'm using is synthetic users. So with synthetic users, instead of waiting a week to interview 5 potential customers, you can now spin up 50, 100, whatever AI agents, program them with the exact persona that represents a target audience and the variety within that, and start getting feedback. Get them to be brutally critical of your landing page or prototype in seconds. Get them to technique I always use is get them to follow a rubric of what you've evaluated as the strategic points for success, and base their feedback and suggestions based on that rubric and improving the quality of your work. Now, the modern MVP doesn't just mean shipping fast to humans. It means stress testing your idea against synthetic users before a human even sees it. So if launching in public is setting a trap for yourself, what are you supposed to do? Well, the first line of defense is a complete shift in how you think. You have to take all the learning you used to do about going in public and pull it back inside into a private, secure lab. And the key that unlocks this is a technique which I'm calling synthetic validation. I'm not sure if I coined that term, but it makes a lot of sense. Basically, you use AI to do the job your MVP used to do. You have AI agents acting as different types of users, test your ideas, give you feedback, use a rubric to sharpen the suggestions they provide, and help you sharpen your product requirements, all done completely in secret. Now, just look at the difference here. The old way, the public MVP, your intellectual property risk is through the roof, and it can take months to get a real answer. But with synthetic validation, your idea stays secret, the learning is private, and you get insight in weeks or even days. The result isn't a vulnerable product out there in the wild. It's a hardened, defensible blueprint that you can build from. And this is, again, not some far off future stuff. This is happening right now. We're talking about AI running thousands of preference tests on virtual user panels, or, and this is my favorite, this technique called cyber interviews. The idea is wild. You do a few really deep interviews with a representative group of your ideal customers, and then you feed those interviews and their transcripts into an AI, not actually the interviews themselves, because that would be painful and murder, but the transcripts into AI and basically teach it to think like them. And you can have that AI simulate hundreds more interviews, uncovering patterns and objections you'd never find otherwise. It's all about creating a living, breathing product plan internally instead of exposing a static one to the public. Now, this, again, is not just theory. I use it for all my projects, and the results are better than any feedback I used to get from the old approach. Part of the reason is that the selection of persona is not random. I can define the different types of persona that I'm looking to get as customers, and I can give them enough information to understand the vision I'm trying to achieve. That eliminates the I don't understand this, this is a foreign idea, and I'm giving you feedback without an understanding what is the art of the possible. I call it what technology can be used for. So these two steps are critical. And as Steve Jobs and Henry Ford used to say, getting feedback from people who only think in terms of solutions they can understand eliminates getting feedback, again, on what I call the art of the possible. Okay, so doing your homework in secret is defense number one, but you can't stay in the lab forever. Eventually, you have to launch if you ever want to make money. So that brings us to defense number two. You have to build a business which is structurally designed to be unclonable. You have to build moats. And here's the fundamental truth. If the code, the app itself, can be copied over a weekend, then the real lasting value of your business has to live somewhere else. And the goal is to stop thinking about selling a single product and start thinking about building an entire platform and ecosystem. Think about how Apple increased the defensibility of its line of products over the years. With the iPod, they released iTunes and created an environment that made it difficult for customers to abandon them and their playlist. With the iPhone, they built a robust community of application developer tools that allowed App Store to be developed. The trick is to finding ways to lock in the customer without appearing punitive. And here are three of the most powerful moats you can build. Number one, data continuity. This is huge. It's the user's personal history with your product, all their settings, all their data, all their progress. A competitor can clone your app, but they can't clone a user's life. They start with a blank slate, and that's a painful restart for consumers. Number two, hardware and software integration. Think about how your phone, your watch, and the cloud all work together seamlessly. That's incredibly hard to copy because it's physical. It's not just code. Number three, service and content bundling. This is getting the whole solution, end-to-end, soup to nuts viewpoint of what your product is. This is not just, it's a phone. It's an app store. It's cloud storage. It's a movie library. Your customers can't just clone a partnership with Netflix. You have built a platform that others can join to enhance the benefits of staying in your product's ecosystem. For example, this is why I am very big on Anthropic and what they are doing, because as a leader in the development of AI tools, they've got now a community of developers who are enhancing it through these GitHub applications that are allowing the rapid deployment of new features within Anthropic's applications. And when you build momentum like that and a community of support, that's a very powerful tool as a defense mechanism. Now, this quote just nails it. Features are fleeting, but a user's personal history with your product is an asset that grows more valuable over time. The longer they're with you, the harder it is for them to leave. That history trap is your single best defense. Now, let's get a little technical here for another second. Another defense, the black box strategy. It's simple, really. You take your most valuable logic, your secret sauce algorithms, and you move it off the front end on the user side onto servers in the cloud. That way, a computer can copy your user interface, and there are ways to prevent that somewhat as well, but they have no idea what magic is happening inside your black box to produce the results. They can see the what, but not the how. You can encrypt your code in the cloud, and as I started to mention, you can even block your front end from being scraped. I do this all the time. And this really changes how you need to think about intellectual property. Patents force you to publicly explain your entire invention, which is pretty risky these days. But trade secrets, which are perfect for that black box logic, put it on your server. That protects you for as long as you can keep the secret. And in the age of AI, sometimes the best shield is just being quiet. So let's bring this all home. What we're really talking about here is a complete reversal of the startup advice we've been given from many decades. It's a huge shift from the mindset that basically gets us to walk away from what was comfortable and to think about strategic stealth. And as AI becomes more and more important in all business processes, we need to start evaluating whether the old rules still apply. And this is one that I don't think does. So sometimes, again, the best shield is just being quiet, but let's bring home everything I've talked about here. And what we're really talking about is a complete reversal of the startup advice we've all been given in the past decade or two. A huge shift in mindset that valued speed above all else to one that now values strategic stealth. And this is the new playbook, all in one sentence. The whole idea of launch and learn is over. The new rule is learn in secret, then launch with a defensible moat. You do all the homework in private, and you only step onto the battlefield when you know you can defend your turf. So if you remember nothing else from this, remember this 3-layer strategy. Your front end, the user interface, it can be cloned. Just assume it's going to be cloned. Treat it like a commodity. Your back end, your logic, that's your secret vault. Move it to the cloud and protect it like a trade secret, because after all, it is. And the ecosystem. This is where you actually win the war. Surround your code, your product, whatever, hardware, software, services, whatever, with data, hardware, and services that create a real powerful lock-in. And that brings us to the final question and the final slide, and the one I want to leave with you. In this new world, you have to take a narrow look at your own work and ask, is our plan for the future a true strategic asset, or is it just a public to-do list waiting for an AI-powered competitor to come along and check off all the boxes to beat you? I hope it was helpful to you and allows you to take a different perspective on the approach you're going to use to launch any service or product that you envision. I am always very, very hopeful that AI is going to make a great difference to those people who embrace it and use the tools appropriately. And I hope you're one of them. Thank you again for listening.